Good. Thank you. And first, it's a privilege and an honor to continue to serve as your executive staff and to be able to provide this overview of all the activities in the Academy, the national office, but this is really about all the committees that are working and really appreciate the partnership with the board that I have with the board and my terrific staff that back in Rosemont and running around here has with all the board and all the committees. So thank you. So real quick, last year when we talked, we announced 4 value proposition areas that the Academy Board was committed to in terms of serving our members. They were providing the resources that our members needed for all the new requirements and mandates that they were being faced with, providing advanced clinical skills to prepare our members for the future, opportunities and career enhancements as healthcare changes, helping them lead through those transitions heavily in the business area that healthcare is going through, and advancing and strengthening the specialty. And as we have been pursuing those, the focus a little bit on the last one, when we talk about advocating for the specialty. Advocating is, we're looking at it as heavily in DC, but also equally outside of DC to have the voice of, the needed voice of PM&R in many other venues. And as we've been working on that this year, that's what's really led us to some of the initiatives that you see and have heard hopefully this entire week. The need to really have a unified specialty and a common vision of where we're going is critical for us to make that pivot as an organization to focus on these areas. So, as you see, as Dr. Warszewicz has already alluded to, the Physiatry is More Than is an initiative that will be ongoing after this meeting that was launched here, which is really about unifying and building the cohesiveness of the specialty. And as we come together and strengthen to figure out our common vision for the future, will be the continue with the PM&R Bold initiative. That will all come into a summit in late February, which will hopefully give us a vision and direction where we all want to go as a specialty. That will then lead into an Academy strategic planning meeting next spring, continuing into the summer and fall, which will then help us develop and assess the Academy in terms of what do we need to do to help the specialty move in that direction. So these are our real focuses for the year. So as we make that pivot in the Academy, I want to provide some of the snapshots of what we've been doing this year and give you some insights of next year. We'll have to move very quickly through these, so if there's any questions, we can answer them afterwards or after the session. I'm happy to address any of them. So these are just a snapshot of what we've been working on. In the policy, practice, reimbursement, quality, and research area, the Academy continues to be the only voice of the specialty in many important national forums. We're very active at the AMA and the House of Delegates, the CPT, RUC activities, at the Council of Medical Specialty Societies, the Physician Consortium of Performance Improvement, and the National Quality Forum. In addition, we have representatives, our volunteers through the Academy represent the Academy and PM&R all across many other areas of organized medicine. Specifically, we've had 35 members that we support, liaisons that are out there working on these national evidence-based clinical trials and technical work groups. This is critical for the specialty to have the voice of PM&R as all these are moving forward. On the legislative front, our activities have increased significantly in the last few years. We're just estimated as we look back over the calendar that we've had about 60 member visits up on the legislative, taking members up to the Hill. That's followed up with over 100 staff follow-up visits on the Hill. We're really up there, almost every week in terms of activity legislatively on the Hill these days. Some of the main areas of focus are listed here. To point out a couple of top ones: the Medicare Post-Acute Care Value-Based Purchasing Act, which I'll allude to in a second again. Our efforts on research capacity, working with this S-800, enhancing the stature and visibility of medical rehab research at the NIH. We're doing with our sister societies a very critical piece of legislation that we're hoping moves in the lame duck session this year. And also working on things like the Sports Medicine Licensure Clarity Act to allow folks to team physicians to cross state lines. So these are just an example of some of the activities that we've been working on the legislative front. But as mentioned, it's well beyond the legislative front. We're active on agency visits and hearings. We are active in advocating for the voice of the specialty and endorsing critical guidelines like the American Heart Association guideline for stroke, testifying at CMS hearings, working in coalitions across rehabilitation, and even getting more into convening critical think tanks. One that we did recently was bringing in people to really talk about what's happening in the world of concussion, what's the think tank for what the specialty needs to do to help position and move physiatry forward in this area. A couple of the critical items this year, or most prominent, that hopefully that you've seen here at this annual assembly, our efforts. The board charged the committees in the national office last year, or actually it was early this spring, to really make a big push on the MACRA activities. And this year we've developed a number of educational sessions, tools, resources, videos to really first bring this to our members, get the members' attention, and then also provide them the resources and tools to help them be successful with this. We've been working actively with organized medicine on the proposed rules for MACRA that are now final rules, and we're successful in getting some relaxation of some of the penalties and timeframes that are there. We also are actively working at the AMA work group on alternative payment models, all parts of the MACRA legislation. In post-acute care, as you've heard throughout Dr. Adair's session today, the dramatic changes that are going on in post-acute care, the Academy's been able to establish, and really the credit of Dr. Warsowitz, a terrific relationship with the House Ways and Means, and we've been working in there to have the voice of PM&R. It's important for everybody to know that not only do we have established the voice of PM&R in these discussions as a medical specialty, but we are the only medical specialty that really has a voice at the moment in these dialogues. Additionally, in post-acute care, the Academy has new position statements developed this year on the physiatrist's role in skilled nursing facilities, and also position statements on data standardization in the post-acute care setting. And we've been working with the multi-specialty work group on all the post-acute care reform areas. Another area of emphasis has been our focus on spine care. As you've heard through this week also, that we have now launched the pilot for the Joint Spine Registry with the American Association of Neurosurgeons, and that will officially be, the pilot will go on for the next few months with an official launch in January. So we've also, through that process, not only has been the creation and negotiations and activities with the neurosurgeons, but we've applied now for the registry to be a qualified clinical data registry, a QCDR, which will then allow it to be a tool for our members for MACRA and other activities. And we've also worked with the American Board of PM&R, and we appreciate their support of this, and allowing those that participate in the registry to also get credit for MOC Part 4. Additionally, in spine care, the board invested significantly in research that has the committees have been working on this year to really look at that, the models of physiatric care and spine care, and be able to compare that with data to other models of spine care. There was an advisory committee that was put together on that, and we looked at Medicare claims data. And this is had two goals. One is to do the research to prove the value of physiatric care, and the second one is to build the basis that we want to use to explore developing this into an alternative payment model for our members. This is information that the initial reports were shared with the board in August, and this will be moving forward into publication and next steps coming next year. So looking ahead, what are we focused on in 2017? MACRA education and awareness isn't going away. That will continue to be a priority for us. Enrolling members in the spine registry, and further exploring how we want to take those learnings of the spine registry and how we apply those and build plans for registries in other areas. We're going to publish the results of the spine model. We'll continue the focus on post-acute care reform. We are going to be working to create a definition for rehabilitation physicians, both something that we want to see if we can advance a new definition legislatively, and also something that we want to build for a resource for our members that they can take in their local communities, so we can support the role of the physiatrist as in the definition of a rehab physician. We also are going to be updating the rehab medical director position statement. And then coming out of the summit that I talked about, the Visioning PM&R Bold, there are going to be many other activities that we need to pursue in the quality practice policy research area. We have a new model that we're going to be exploring for state advocacy to strengthen our voice at the state level. The Academy will be conducting a compensation survey, and there's a number of other items in the ICD-10s and getting appealing some of the denials that are going on in the SNF world, and also addressing some coding concerns and some issues that members are going to have some challenges with in terms of knee injection codes. So turning it to our education and member services, just a quick look at the numbers as of this morning. We have, for this Congress, we've had about 2,500 physicians registered. Over 500 of those are residents. That's a total of about, if you add in everybody, a total of over 3,500 people here that we brought into New Orleans. That's 9% higher than last year. Just misses our mark of the record that we set a few years ago in San Diego, but a very, very strong meeting. Consisting of 144 sessions, 881 research submissions were reviewed. I think there was 100 volunteers just through the evidence-based committee that reviewed all those applications, and this is all in the preparation of putting the meeting together. The focus, as you already know now, was on the MACRA, the learning lab that we explored and will expand and continue in terms of what we had on Thursday for ultrasound, the cancer summit that was today, the intensive workshops, kind of moving to a more 3-hour intensive hands-on workshops, and other new activities such as the resident quiz bowl that was a success in wheelchair basketball. New this year, we had the 4 pre-courses, but new this year was building and maintaining a medical legal work in a physiatric practice pre-course. And I think overall, I think it's the feedback between what we're hearing between the plenary speakers, the content of the sessions, the social activity last night. I've had this wonderful feedback and from attendees that I think everybody's really enjoyed. Turning a little bit to maintenance and certification, new this year, the Academy and its commitment to help members meet those mandates and requirements that are out there. The Academy, and hope everybody noticed this and is taking advantage of it, as part of your membership, it now includes the resources you need to stay up with your maintenance and certification needs. So that's something that was a significant investment and decision by the board to help our members, but by staying a member, you get as many self-assessments as you need to comply with that year. They roll over if you don't use them in the future years. You also get your Part 4s for free, and we have additional resources available for studying for the exams in Part 3. But just as a catalog of what we have for maintenance and certification products, we continue to maintain, update, and create new products and services for here to help our members. We have 10 SAEs for Part 2, 4 PIPs for Part 4 available free to our members, and also we have a review course and a mock exam to help people with MOC 3. New this year in the MEE catalog, the Medical Education Catalog, we have a number of new online modules and sessions for helping our members with practice preparedness, helping with payer contracts, running a cash business, preparing for macro activities. We also have new clinical self-assessments and stroke rehab and advanced sports medicine concepts. Coming next month, there'll be a few new things put online. New modules for our early career audience to help them with identifying their practice setting and negotiating contracts and other activities. We also have new clinical modules. They'll be going up case-based modules on upper limb spasticity, lower limb, and dystonia management. We continued our partnership this year with the Mayo Clinic College of Medicine to offer our members access and discounts to the Comprehensive Sports Medicine Update and Board Review course. We also partnered with Karen Zepko to offer 4 coding and reimbursement workshops across the country. Career services, which is another priority area identified by the board a couple years ago. With the changing world we're in, it's not just the new residents looking at careers, it's members in mid-career looking at understanding options that are available. We've really enhanced the job board this year because in a lot of activity, we've included the fellowship database in the job board. We have a new Career Corner monthly e-newsletter. We had a career booth on the floor that's got a lot of attention at the job fair on Wednesday night. We had over 100 employers and about 700 attendees. And as mentioned, we have a number of new modules that we're really focused on that'll be on the ME site. So looking ahead, what's our focus for 2017 in education and member services? We are going to be expanding those practice preparedness and career resources. We have a number of new SAEs coming online in informatics and cancer rehab. The board this week approved a focus on creating an ultrasound skills training evaluation and performance program. This will really be an enhanced curriculum for ultrasound education, as well as include a low-stakes assessment at the end to get a certificate of completion of this process. Next year in Denver, annual assembly, we'll focus on a number of cross-cutting items that have been identified, new technologies and leadership skills. We're going to continue to expand the free hands-on learning center and continue to expand the didactic components, or excuse me, the interactive components of the didactic sessions that we're able to use here through the app and other activities that were really successful. We're going to, in terms of the planning, we're going to be starting to evolve away a little bit from kind of the rigid track system or labeling rooms by tracks and having a little bit more flexibility in terms of how we plan and rotate sessions through and how our members also rotate between rooms for different sessions. We're going to be spending a lot more time on creating more content and be able to identify the right topics that our members need, the right faculty, the right focus. We'll have calls for faculty to assist in that, calls for people with expertise. We're going to have a new award for best resident posters. And new this year to take note of, because it will be coming up quickly, is that we're aligning all submissions, both abstracts and proposals, to be due on December 1st. This is going to allow the program planning committee really to have all that available to prepare and develop a much more integrated and better meeting for you all in the future. And lastly, just to focus on engaging the PM&R community, we have put a number of new tools in place this year. The FIS Forum new platform, which has been very successful in the launch and really connecting and getting conversation. A number of new technologies, the meeting app that you saw here, but different things we're doing in the social media world. And also through this PM&R Bold, the opportunities that we've been using to have virtual town halls, to have local regional events, to really pull together our members, engage them, and create the conversations and dialogues, and for us to really listen to what the needs are. We had a medical student program going on today. I think this number has actually been updated. About 190 medical students are here. We have 30 residency programs participating in the job fair, or excuse me, in the residency fair. And again, all this isn't possible. Just to wrap up with, we have over 500 volunteers in the Academy, all of you serving your time, working with us at the national office to make this all happen. So thank you again. It's been a great year.